There was a time when your words carried weight, when people leaned in, truly listened, and sought your wisdom. Your presence alone commanded respect, not because you demanded it, but because you had lived, experienced, and earned it. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Conversations happen around you, not with you. People talk over you, dismiss your thoughts, and act as if your voice no longer holds the same value. And let's be honest, it's not just frustrating. It's unfair, because you haven't lost your wisdom. You haven't lost your strength. But here's the truth. Respect is never freely given. It's commanded, not through force, not through begging, but through presence, action, and an unshakable sense of self. The world respects those who carry themselves with certainty, those who move with quiet authority, those who do not shrink to make others comfortable. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. If you've ever felt ignored, dismissed, or overlooked, that changes now. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you 5 powerful ways to ensure that no one ever dares to disrespect you again. Not by demanding it, but by making it impossible for them not to. So before we begin, if this message resonates with you, take a moment to hit like and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story. Because this conversation isn't just about you. It's about every person who has ever felt unseen, unheard, and undervalued. Now, let's begin, because before you even say a word, you're already telling the world how to treat you. Master this first step, and respect won't be something you have to ask for. It will be something people give you without question. Before a single word leaves your lips, people have already decided how to treat you. The way you enter a room, the way you carry yourself, the way your presence fills the space. It all speaks for you before you even open your mouth. And that's where respect begins. Respect isn't something you request. It isn't something people hand you out of courtesy. It's something you command through the quiet authority of how you move, how you hold yourself, how you take up space. Think about the last time you saw someone who naturally drew attention the moment they stepped into a room. They didn't need to announce themselves. They didn't need to prove anything. Their presence alone made people take notice. Now, think about the opposite. Someone who moves hesitantly, who avoids eye contact, who seems unsure of where they belong. Without meaning to, they signal to the world, you don't have to take me seriously. And too often, as people grow older, they start shrinking themselves without even realizing it. They walk a little slower, speak a little softer, make themselves smaller, almost as if they're asking for permission to exist. But let me remind you of something. You don't need permission to take up space. The world reacts to the energy you project. If you walk into a room with your shoulders back, chin up, and a steady, deliberate stride, people will unconsciously respect you before you even speak. If you meet someone's gaze instead of looking away, they will instinctively see you as someone worth listening to. There's no need to force it, no need to demand attention. The way you carry yourself sets the tone. Your presence is like the cover of a book. If it appears weak or hesitant, people may glance past it. But if it stands firm, confident, and undeniable, they'll want to open it and hear what's inside. So the next time you step into a room, walk in like you belong, because you do. But presence alone isn't enough. Because once you've entered the room, once people have turned to look, what happens next? That's where your voice takes over. And if your words don't match your presence, you risk losing the very respect you just gained. Words have power, but only if you use them with certainty. The way you speak tells people whether to lean in or tune out, whether to take you seriously or dismiss you without a second thought. And too many people, especially as they get older, start to weaken their own voices without realizing it. They speak too softly, rush through their sentences, or fill their words with hesitation. I think maybe, I guess. Each one slowly chipping away at their authority. But here's the truth. If you don't believe in your own words, no one else will. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly just to be taken seriously. True confidence isn't about saying more. It's about saying it with conviction. A steady voice commands attention. A deliberate pause makes people lean in and listen. A well-placed silence can say more than 100 words spoken in uncertainty. Think about the most respected figures in history. They didn't rush. They didn't fill the air with nervous chatter. They spoke slowly, deliberately, with a tone that made it clear they meant every word. And when they paused, The world listened. The next time you're in a conversation and someone interrupts you, don't talk over them. Don't shrink back. Instead, stop. Look at them. And when the silence becomes uncomfortable, say firmly, "I wasn't finished yet." That moment, that single pause, will command more respect than shouting ever could. Your words should land like a stone, not drift away like a feather. Drop the weak language, the fillers, the unnecessary apologies. Speak with the weight of someone who knows their experience matters. Because when you do, the world has no choice but to listen. Respect isn't just about how you carry yourself or how you speak. It's also about what you allow. People will treat you the way you teach them to, and if you don't set clear boundaries, they will assume there are none. Too often, people let small moments of disrespect slide. A dismissive comment, an interruption, a request that asks too much. At first, it seems easier to ignore it, to keep the peace, to avoid the discomfort of confrontation. But over time, each moment adds up, and before you realize it, you find yourself feeling drained, frustrated, and unheard. Many people hesitate to set boundaries because they're afraid of seeming rude, difficult, or unkind. They worry that saying no will push people away, that standing their ground will make them lose relationships. But the truth is, boundaries don't drive away the right people, they filter out the wrong ones. Those who truly respect you won't be offended when you stand up for yourself. The ones who do, they were only benefiting from your silence. There's a simple way to enforce boundaries without anger, without guilt, and without endless explanations. Think of it as the three-strike rule. The first time someone crosses the line, correct them lightly. Give them the benefit of the doubt. The second time, be firm. Make it clear that you won't tolerate it again. And if they do it a third time, it's time to walk away. Because someone who repeatedly disrespects you, despite knowing how you feel, is not making a mistake. They're making a choice. And you get to make a choice too, to remove yourself from situations that diminish you. And when you set boundaries, stop explaining yourself. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone a justification for protecting your time, your energy, or your peace. The more you over-explain, the more people feel entitled to debate your limits. Stand firm in your decisions, not out of defiance, but out of self-respect. Imagine if you only allowed people in your life who truly valued you. People who spoke to you with kindness, who respected your time, who never made you feel small. How different would your world feel? The reality is, you have that power. It begins with one decision, one moment of standing firm. So ask yourself, what's one boundary you've been allowing people to cross? And what would happen if, starting today, you reinforced it? Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every comment deserves your energy. The world teaches us to believe that strength is in speaking up, in proving a point, in making sure we're heard. But true power? True power is in knowing when to stay silent. Silence is not weakness, it is control. It unsettles those who expect a reaction, forcing them to sit with the weight of their own words. It demands attention in a way that shouting never could. A person who can remain still in the face of provocation holds all the power, while the one who seeks a reaction is the one who loses control. The moment you stop responding to every interruption, every insult, every attempt to pull you into an argument, you take back what is yours, your dignity, your peace, your authority. And silence is not just about withholding words. It's about using them wisely. The next time someone talks over you, don't compete for space. Don't raise your voice just to be heard. Instead, stop. Hold their gaze. Say nothing. Let the silence stretch. Watch as they become uncomfortable, as they realize they have overstepped. And then, when you do finally speak, your words will land with a weight they weren't expecting. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not every debate is worth your breath. Some people don't argue to understand, they argue to exhaust you. They twist your words, push your buttons, drain your energy. But a lion doesn't turn every time a dog barks. A lion doesn't waste its strength on noise. And neither should you. So this week, practice restraint. When disrespect comes your way, resist the urge to react. Let silence be your answer. Observe how the room shifts, how people begin to choose their words more carefully around you, how suddenly your presence carries more weight. And in that moment, without saying a word, you will have commanded more respect than any argument ever could. Respect isn't just about how you carry yourself or how you speak. It's about how you continue to grow. The world moves fast, and those who stop learning, who stop engaging, who let themselves drift into the background, find that respect begins to fade. Not because they are less valuable, but because they have allowed themselves to become disconnected. And nothing diminishes a person's presence more than the feeling that they are no longer relevant. But relevance has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with curiosity. The people who command respect at any stage of life are the ones who stay sharp, who keep learning, who refuse to let time make them small. The moment you decide that you've learned all you need to know, that the world is too different now, too complicated, too fast, you begin to shrink. But the moment you choose to engage, to adapt, to explore something new, you send a message to the world. I am still here. I am still growing. Knowledge is power, and power earns respect. Staying informed doesn't mean keeping up with every trend or chasing every new idea. It means staying engaged with the world around you. Read about what's happening, ask questions, form opinions. Whether it's politics, technology, or cultural shifts, knowing what's going on allows you to contribute to conversations with confidence. And when you speak with awareness, people listen. But staying sharp isn't just about absorbing information. It's about challenging yourself. Try something new. Pick up a hobby you've never explored. Learn a skill that excites you. Embrace a piece of technology that once seemed intimidating. Growth isn't about keeping up. It's about keeping yourself engaged, keeping your mind moving, keeping your sense of curiosity alive, and perhaps most importantly, share what you know. But not through lectures, not by talking at people. Instead, through mentorship, through real conversations, through the wisdom that comes from experience. Younger generations don't just need advice. They need guidance, someone who can share knowledge without judgment, someone who can listen as much as they teach. Be that person, and you won't just earn respect, you'll inspire it. Your mind is like a garden. Keep planting, keep growing, and it will always be full of life. So this week, challenge yourself. Learn something new, engage in a conversation you might have once avoided, step into something unfamiliar. Because the moment you stop growing is the moment the world starts to pass you by. And you were never meant to be left behind. Respect is not something handed to you. It's something you command through the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the boundaries you set, and the wisdom you continue to share. It's never about demanding it from others. It starts with how you see yourself. Because when you walk with confidence, speak with conviction, and refuse to tolerate disrespect, the world has no choice but to follow your lead. You have spent a lifetime earning wisdom, overcoming struggles, and shaping the person you are today. Never let the world make you feel small. Never shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. Stand tall, speak clearly, and walk with purpose, because you deserve nothing less. And if this message speaks to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remind them of their worth. And before you go, take a moment to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story for more lessons that uplift and empower. Life will always test you, but respect begins with the way you carry yourself. People will treat you how you allow them to. So as you move forward, remember this: you are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are worthy, and you always have been.